What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Browns Film Breakdown. We are going to jump in on the hot topic of the week, which is Baker Mayfield quarterback play. Joined again here by Brendan Leister, PFF analyst. Brendan, how you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. How about you?
Good. Can't complain. We're going to jump in and try to give you guys a picture of some of the positive traits we saw from Baker. So we will jump in on his first drive. Obviously, the Browns mustered 14 yards of offense the entire first half up until this point. Baker comes in, makes one throw. This is his second throw, actually, Brendan. So if you can, man, tell me what you're seeing defensively, what Baker's pre-snap to post-snap should be thought process-wise. You're going to get, as you guys see here, vertical package. So walk me through quarterback thought process.
Yeah, so the coverage, it looks like two high safeties. They're playing at different levels, so you could see them. You could see one rotating down, one rotating the middle of the field pre-snap, or they could play too high like they did. It looks to me like they're playing some kind of quarters with four deep, matching the routes, reading number 2, and then 3 underneath. That's what it looks like to me. Mayfield looks to his left initially, but I think it's just to kind of hold the safety and open up that throwing lane to throw to the seam to Njoku. Njoku does a great job of he releases outside to get the linebacker to run with him toward the sideline off the hash, but then he snaps the route back inside the linebacker. If he hadn't done that, there wouldn't have been a throwing window. So he does a great job there of stemming outside, coming back inside, and then Mayfield throws the ball low, locates the ball away from the safety low to protect the receiver. Because the deal is, if he leads him up the field and throws a perfect pass, so to speak, as a lot of people want guys to throw, you want great ball placement, you want guys getting yards after the catch. But on this play, if you hit him in stride, he's getting his head taken off by the safety. So this is a great job of throwing the ball low, away from the safety, getting the ball around the linebacker and protecting Njoku. Just a great play all around.
Yeah, it is, and it was quick off the bench. The kid had thrown one ball to Landry over the middle, and then this was his next throw. Quick job, or a nice job by Brendan to point out the quick glance left to open that window. You can see his eyes right off the snap, kind of work left right there. You can see a subtle head shift off the fake right there, right? And then as Brendan does a nice job of pointing out, sits him down in this window. It's it's a pretty tight NFL window right there to sit him down in. So good throw, good start for Mayfield right there.
Yeah, this was the throw watching live that when he made that throw, I was like, okay, he's gonna ball. I was really excited.
Okay, guys, back in second play. Gonna take a look at a throw here from Baker to Landry that we thought had a weak side flood concept. So you're gonna see top of the screen. I believe that is Higgins and out there, number 1 and number 2 here is Landry. They're going to each cross at different depths. Callaway's going to take the top off the defense here on the left side. He gets held. I believe that's what the call is the hold right there. You see the flag come in. But what we're taking a look at specifically, and what I want Brendan to touch on is sort of how Baker handles the pocket here. So it's a deep drop. He's coming off of play action, obviously. Gets to the top of his drop. I think he does a pretty good job here of climbing the pocket and sort of threatening Adams, Jamal Adams here. You guys can see number 33 here is kind of going to be the conflict defender for him. So he's going to step up to him, and as Adams feels that threat of Mayfield running, sort of steps up. And what I liked was he was able to drop this ball in with touch right over top of Adams and give Landry a chance to get out and run with it a little bit here. So that's kind of where my thought process was. But as with anything football, guys, there's subjectivity to it all. So Brendan, walk me through what you might think.
Yeah, I definitely think that you make a good point about him moving up in the pocket and threatening Adams. He knows that Jamal Adams has his eyes on him, so he feels that if he moves up, he can create that throwing window behind him. But kind of what I was thinking watching this play is he doesn't need to climb there. He has a good pocket. I understand the perspective of moving up in the pocket to threaten Adams and then be able to throw it behind him. Mm-hmm. But he gets himself hit in the process because I think Harrison is blocking his man up the field. So Mayfield thinks that there's a pocket to step up into. But then at the last second, the defensive end, he spins back inside. And because of Mayfield moving up from the clean pocket, he gets himself hit in the process. So it's okay because he does move Adams up and makes the throw behind him. But still, I think the pocket presence or movement, it's just something interesting on this play where you can see it two different ways. And he does get himself hit in the process. If he had just maintained his depth, I don't think he gets hit there. I think he has plenty of time to throw. He may have been able to even come off that drag route underneath and find the deep crossing route that we can see in the middle of the field. So it's just interesting. He did a good job here, but at the same time, he might have left a little bit of skin on the bone just if he had stayed in the pocket, worked to a second progression, and found Higgins.
Yep, you're right. Because if he sits up there at the top, Adams probably covers, drops, continues to gain depth a little bit there. And as you said, good point, Brendan. You got Higgins coming into this window that is a ball he throws all the time. At least he has the ability to throw. Play 3, guys, taking a look here after a long drive. Browns are in the midst of a long drive. This is after the last clip we just looked at after the ball to Landry up the left sideline there. The Browns are in a little bit of a pressure situation to get some points on the board. Yeah, it's still the third quarter, but they got to make a move. They had, kicked a field goal off the Denzel Ward turnover that gave them the ball inside the 10. So, needed to find a way to get into the end zone. 2nd and 7 here, ball's on the 30. Browns bring motion. They start Njoku out wide, bring him in short motion. Going to, unfold coverage here a little bit as you can see who's chasing, and that gives away the look to a certain extent. But what you're going to have at the top of the field, Brendan, walk me through routes here, man. What do you see schematically?
Yeah, so it looks like they're running double posts at the top of the screen. Looks that way. Mm-hmm. Typical good quarters beater, cover 3 beater typically, but they have really poor spacing on that. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're trying to do. Maybe someone ran. I mean, it works, but it looks interesting because they're right on top of each other with their routes. You wouldn't typically see that. A lot of times if you run like a double post concept, some people call it Dino, some people call it topper. There's a lot of different terms for it, but typically the inside receiver would want to work across the safety's face, and then with that outside leverage from the corner on the outside post, then you would have inside leverage on him where you could throw to him up the seam. But here, I love that Mayfield, he sees they're matching the routes, and he just the willingness to throw this ball. I think the ball could have been placed a little bit more outside, but at the same time, he does a hell of a job of giving Landry a chance to make a great catch, trusting him. That's the biggest thing. I mean, we both know there's no chance that Tyrod Taylor would have made this throw. He wouldn't have been willing to try the throw, and he also wouldn't have been able to make it because he just can't throw at that type of velocity and ball placement consistently. So it really would have been kind of lucky if he were to even make this throw in the first place. But that's a great ball on a line over the defender's head. Landry makes a really strong catch. I mean, you can see the defender's hand is up up inside the pocket where he's catching the ball, and he just shows really strong hands to be able to rip that ball down and take it down to the ground and complete the catch.
Yeah, impressive stuff. Like you said, the wherewithal to take that risk. 2nd and 7, feels like he can take that one-on-one shot, come back on 3rd down if it's incomplete. It's a great throw, like you said, right above the defender's head, kind of ear hold it. Gave his guy a shot, and another good point by you is this hand strength to make that catch by Landry, something special. So, yeah, excellent ball placement example again there for Mayfield. Jumping back in, 4th throw we're going to have for Mayfield today is going to be a ball up the left sideline. Some call this a 9, some call it a go, some call it a vertical, a whole bunch of different ways to call this route. But literally it's just outside release, run past your man, and put the ball out there for him to go get. Some teach it differently in terms of where they want their quarterback. Some say 3 off the sideline. Outside shoulder for him. Some say just get it in his general vicinity that's outside, doesn't matter the depth. When you teach vertical throws to your quarterback, Brendan, how did you go about teaching him these throws?
On a throw like this, I would just want him to put the ball up and away from the safety. I mean, he would definitely want to look off the safety initially, since there is a middle of the field player, but I think Mayfield here is confident that, I guess he's just confident he can fit it in there. I mean, there is a safety coming off the hash to try to get over the top. He kind of looks that way the whole way, but clearly it didn't matter. He's putting that ball near the sideline away from the safety to a point where the safety can't get over the top of it. He probably also read the depth of the safety and saw that there was no way he could get over the top because he's not deep enough to kind of get over the top of that route.
Yep.
So Yeah, that's kind of the way that I would coach it, is just if it's like this where it's single coverage, just make sure that you're throwing the ball away from that corner, because our guy has the guy beat. So make sure that you lead him away from the coverage.
And I like the alignment too. Anytime you can get in near the numbers and run these, it gives you more wiggle room on the sideline. If you start your, Callaway's obviously at X here. If you start him, splitting the difference between the sideline and the numbers, it's an even tighter window when you're throwing it away from the corner. So a little bit tighter alignment allows, leeway for him to lean away. Baker puts a good ball out here. You guys will see. We'll get a couple different views. This is actually the TV broadcast view. And Brendan's got a good point to make about Callaway's drop here. What's going on thought process-wise?
Yeah, I think that with Callaway, it's pretty clear that he's worried about his feet. He's trying to look down. Once the ball hits his hands, he's looking down at his feet to make sure he gets his feet in on the sideline. And I think that is a big part of why he dropped this ball. It's not a hands issue or anything. It's just the fact that Mayfield led him toward the sideline. I mean, clearly he's got to make the catch. He's an NFL wide receiver. But I think there is some nuance here. There is a reason behind why he dropped the ball. And you can see he's focused on trying to get his feet in. And at the last second, when he takes his eyes off the ball and tries to look down to get his feet in, that's when the ball slips out, drops the football. So there is something more here. I think if Mayfield, this is a great ball, this is a great ball to defeat coverage, but if he does lead him more up the field, I don't think that Callaway probably drops this ball if he's not worried about his feet getting in. But regardless, I'm sure that they've worked this plenty this week, and we'll see what happens Sunday. I have a feeling that the offense will be clicking at a level that we haven't seen for 4 quarters.
Yeah, it sure does help when you have the guy throwing on Sunday, throwing to you pretty consistently through the week. I mean, there's certainly, and you can agree to this, Brendan, there's a difference in velocity between Tyrod and Mayfield, the way the ball comes out of their hands. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be a big part of this week to pay attention to some of those little drops that happened. I think there were a few, 2 or 3, how they clean those up. So
yeah. I think adjusting to Mayfield is going to be big for the receivers. I mean, the way that he throws the ball versus Tyrod is just completely different. Mm-hmm. So those guys they're probably spending this whole week adjusting to that, because they haven't really played. They haven't played with him a ton, aside from Higgins being on the second team a lot during camp. At times, it seemed like he had a lot of reps with Mayfield, but other than that, I'd say Landry and Callaway playing with him is probably pretty new to those guys.
Last clip we're going to look at, guys, is the fourth quarter throw here that I think does a nice job of showing how Baker is able to feel the pocket around him, and then has a nice job of working from right to left and processing things that are going on in front of him. So Brendan's going to touch on his pocket and how the pocket changes from normal pass pocket sets, but what you're getting route-wise, it's just 3-man. They're keeping Njoku in to block, help on the end, which is common for them so far this year, helping out their tackles with not just Njoku, but you're getting Duke. So his first read, obviously, he wants to try to get this cover 3 corner here, biting on the out, turns into a wheel here, a little out and up. From it looks like Higgins down here at the bottom of the screen. Corner here does a nice job sitting on it, so he has to work back. So they're running Callaway on another vertical. It might be a sluggo, actually, at the top of the field. It is a sluggo. So sluggo at the top of the field, and then they're just kind of crossing Landry, letting him find a soft zone. I mean, Landry gets collisioned here by the Rob safety here is kind of coming down and collisioning him, but it works to a nice window. But what I like, and you'll see from the end zone view, it gives us a better view, is the, scanning right to left, coming back, finding options. And that doesn't work out for Landry catching it here. But you get at least a look at how Mayfield's going to be visually seeing things, processing things, working right to left. So Brendan, talk about pocket awareness. What's this pocket going to, why is this pocket different from a relatively normal passing situation pocket?
Well, here they have so many guys in pass protection. They've got the tight end and the running back in pass protection. They got 7 guys, and it's not like a deal where they're vertical setting. They're not getting up the field, or allowing the rush to get back behind Mayfield. He knows that he has more of a flat pocket in front of him. As you can see, it's pretty clear. So he knows that he can create depth for himself and get back. In some situations, you don't want your quarterback to get too deep, because then the edge rushers can get up the field around the tackles, and it really puts pressure on those guys to get deep, because if the quarterback's not at the right depth, then he's probably going to get sacked because those edge rushers can just beat the ends or beat the tackles up the field, get around them, and tackle the quarterback if he's too deep. But here, it's more of a flat pocket, as we'll see.
Yeah.
He looks.
Yeah. So instead of like Brendan's pointing out here, I'll just draw it for you guys. This is your normal pocket set. You're going to get deep vertical sets by your tackles, and you're going to feel those guys coming up field. Normally, you're traditionally setting up. So it's more of that U shape. But what Brendan's doing a nice job of pointing out here is that this one is a little bit more, it's gonna be flatter by nature. It's gonna be more here, and you want to, as he said, gain depth away from it as best you can. So try to pay attention to that here as we go through.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to worry about those wide edge rushers threatening the vertical sets by the tackles up the field because of the way that they're playing this. You can see Harrison gets outside and forces the end to kind of go inside. And I think they try a stunt, but it's 4-on-2 over there, with the pass protection. So they're not going anywhere. Mayfield looks right initially. And then after he pumps twice, he's really trying to sell that corner on the out and up. He kind of kicks back and gives himself even more depth, which I like because he is a shorter quarterback. And to see in the pocket, you have to get depth as a shorter guy. It was one of the things that they talked about when they drafted him. I remember John Dorsey saying, this guy does a great job of getting back in the pocket, getting depth, giving himself lanes to see. And you can see there, he can see right over the line because he's so deep. It's a great job by him of giving himself time or giving himself space. And one of my favorite guys to listen to, I know that it's kind of controversial. Some people don't like him as much, but Trent Dilfer, I think he does a great job of studying quarterbacks, knowing the position. He talks about quarterbacks creating time and space for themselves in the pocket, and it's such an important thing. Well, this is a great example of Mayfield doing that. And then you see he comes off the right side. Another little thing here is you see 54. If 54 doesn't read the quarterback's eyes and run to where he pumps, then there wouldn't be a window here. But you can see when Mayfield pumps twice, 54 is reading him. He runs to the right, to our right, and it creates that window. Mayfield does a great job of reading that and immediately pulling the trigger. That's one of the things I've been most impressed with him in the preseason and then that first start is as soon as a guy moves, as soon as he sees something, he pulls the trigger. He's not late. He's not slow to react. As soon as guys are moving, he's reacting to it, and that's what you want to see. Throws this ball with good placement, but I think this is kind of a deal like we talked about before where Landry's not used to these passes being on him so quick. Obviously, he's got to catch the ball. It hits him right in the frame, but hopefully we don't see these kind of drops after a week of practicing with him.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's going to be something to pay attention to. I do want to make it clear, everybody who knows us, this is standing that this is only really 2 and maybe an eighth of a quarter for Mayfield. It's just we're grading what's on tape. We're following up with what we saw in the preseason. It's all aligning for what we saw in the preseason. Nobody's crowning the kid yet. He just had a really good first effort, and we're going to comment on that and point out all the good he's done. If you follow us on Twitter, myself and Brendan, we pointed out and had a long, thorough discussion on his ball that should have been intercepted in the end zone. So there were 2 turnover-worthy plays in that game for him, and we're going to always point those out too. But as far as the debut goes for a Browns quarterback in a situation that he was in, coming into a game 14-0, the environment of the stadium is just kind of collapsing around the team the way in typical Browns fashion we're all accustomed to on a national stage. It was as impressive of a debut, I thought, for a kid as we have seen in maybe ever for a Browns quarterback. So that was good to see. There's plenty to be excited about. They head into Oakland. They can add some nuance to their playbook with this kid in here at quarterback. They certainly will. There'll be wrinkles that are there for him. It'll still be the same structurally, but it will be, an offense that should be more wide open, should allow for running lanes that weren't previously there, less crowded boxes. So ton to be excited about. With Mayfield heading into Oakland, Browns have a good chance to win. Well, Brendan, thanks for joining me. As usual, we're up early in the morning doing football tape. We're lunatics. We do this stuff for free. So thanks again, man. And, I look forward to chatting with you again next week, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I always enjoy it.
All right, man. We'll see you.